supplied the Munich Illustrierte Presse and domestic and foreign agencies with his pictures. Hoffmann's father was a photographer as well, and he had apparently forced his son to follow in his footsteps. Hoffmann had owned a business of his own in Munich since 1909. Even before 1914, Heinrich Hoffmann had made a name for himself with the public and in artistic circles with his photography service, the Hoffmann Fotoreport, as well as by taking portrait photographs. Still, he owed his flourishing business to the NSDAP. After World War I, which he spent on the French front as a reservist in a replacement detachment of the Air Force, he put his talents at the service of the far-right nationalist movement that was rising to power. The Nazi Party's house photographer. It is no longer possible to reconstruct exactly when and in what circumstances Hoffmann met Hitler for the first time. Hoffmann's daughter, Henriette von Schirach, later claimed that the populist poet and writer Dietrich Eckart had put her father in contact with Hitler. Hoffmann himself said in his memoir that their first encounter was for purely business reasons, after an American photo agency offered him $100 for a photograph of Hitler on October 30th, 1922. As early as 1947, in an unpublished written statement in his own defense, Hoffmann claimed that the American press had offered him a large sum for the first picture of Hitler at the time. In order to get this money, under any circumstances, he contrived a seemingly chance encounter by suggesting that Hermann Esser, a good friend of Hitler's, hold the reception for his upcoming wedding in Hoffmann's house on July 5, 1923. In this way, he planned to meet Hitler, who was to be one of the witnesses at the ceremony. In fact, Hoffmann had been a member of the German Workers' Party, the Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, or DAP, since April 6, 1920, 6 months after Hitler had joined. Anton Drexler had founded the party in January of the previous year in Munich, and it had recently changed its name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the NSDAP. Hoffmann began to publish the weekly newspaper Auf gut Deutsch, in Good German, edited by the radical, nationalistic, and anti-Semitic Dietrich Eckart, Hitler's friend, mentor, and father figure. This failed poet used the paper to rail against the Weimar Republic, Bolshevism, and Judaism, under the motto, Germany Awake. There is much evidence to suggest that Hoffmann became friends with this circle of like-minded men, including Eckart, Hitler, and the journalist Hermann Esser, before he began to make himself useful to the NSDAP, and especially to the man who became its leader starting on July 29, 1921, the aggressive beer hall agitator Adolf Hitler. Despite numerous requests, Hoffmann at first respected Hitler's wish not to be photographed. Hoffmann's first portrait of Hitler, in fact, appeared only after the failed beer hall putsch of November 8th to 9th, 1923, which made Hitler famous throughout Germany, but also landed him in jail. Hoffmann photographed him as a prisoner. The following year, Hoffmann published a photo brochure titled Germany's Awakening in Words and Pictures. In 1926, the tireless Hoffmann, together with Hitler and Hermann Esser, their mutual friend and the first head of propaganda for the party, founded a richly illustrated weekly party newspaper, the Illustrierte Beobachter. That same year, at Hoffmann's suggestion, the Völkische Beobachter, the People's Observer, the Nazi newspaper, included photographs for the first time, from Hoffmann's own studio, needless to say.